I just returned from China 2 weeks ago and met there with many of the leadership in China, there with foreign affairs, with head of religious affairs, cyber chairman, and others to assess what their role will be going forward. You know, back in the late 1990s, as you well know, we relieved China of the most favored nation status and enabled them to move forward with obtaining acceptance with the different world financing agencies, WTO and others. And I think what the hope was, and sincere hope, was that this economic transformation and access would raise the standard of life in China, dealing with freedoms of conscience and other matters. We have seen that lacking. I did share that continually with those whom I met with while I was there. I think the most troubling reality is the oppression not only of those who seek to enjoy their religious freedoms, human rights, freedoms of conscience, but all the other ancillary groups and plaintiffs, attorneys who work on their behalf. And there seems to be a very intense and growing effort to suppress these individuals. And I challenged the leadership on so many occasions as we met, because from my background and experience, people of faith, and I happen to be a Christian, people of faith usually, 98% of the time, are very principled individuals and people who work and act in integrity. And of course, China is facing a major corruption challenge now and has a program to address that. Would it be that it would be in their best interest to enable those who do follow the path of faith, particularly of those believers that I know, and allow them to freely have access and openness inside their culture? I did have occasion to go to one official church when I was in Shenzhen. We were in Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Beijing, and saw the expression of faith there, and took a young Chinese gentleman, very bright young man, who attended me on the whole trip and kind of was one of my hosts with the Foreign Office. And he was very, very surprised to see people gathering to worship God. And you know, his comment was, "Is this normal? Is this what you all do?" And it was a very new revelation to him. Of course, there are tens of millions who do not operate through the official church and work through the underground expression. So my ongoing comment to the leadership is that we would assess not what they say. When President Xi was here, he made many comments to President Obama about cyber and other matters, but more in actuality of what they do. And that would translate in the future toward what our real trust will be. But in every opportunity in those meetings and in previous meetings that I've had with the leadership here, with our ambassador and others, has been to convey to them the absolute commitment that we believe is so essential as it relates to human rights and freedoms of conscience. Having said that, I am also honest with our friends in China that America has her problems. America is not pure. Our media is replete with violence, where drugs are pervasive. We have societal, racial issues and poverty and other matters. So I don't stand as one who is condescending, and I shared it in that spirit. But in sharing in honesty about America, I feel it gave me more credibility to share in honesty about China. and what I believe the value systems that have been inherent inside of our country have meant toward a strong America, the strongest economy in the world. And I think it was born out, frankly, of our Judeo-Christian perspective and value systems and the rule of law that came from these traditions. So these issues are not just of concern to us, but I think for the better interest of China. Certainly when you see the very assertive oppression of women with forced abortions. Of course, they've changed their children policy now to accommodate two. Now some families don't want to have two, so now they have a problem there. And there's a trafficking problem because there's not enough women in the country. It's all, as I shared with the leadership, because you have a central planning. And we believe in America the distinctive of the individual and their rights and the ability to make choices and their own decisions. The children are not a ward of the state. They're a responsibility of a family. So then it should be the family's choice whether to have a child and be responsible for the needs of that child and not the attendance of the state. So it's a different worldview. And I think that presupposition is a reality on how we address going forward. And will China continue to be a country that will micromanage from the top and dictate according to what they think the policies are in the best interest of the Chinese people? Obviously in an oppressive way to maintain their own authority and rule and power. But growing over in China, I believe, is a recognition of what freedoms are about. And freedom is something we all cherish. When I walk up these stone steps of the Capitol every day to go vote, I don't take it for granted, the freedoms we have. And as I travel the world, and I'm throughout the world every year, America is cherished. And people, as you know, still want to come to America because we are the lamp of freedom and opportunity. And we need to continue to be that beacon of hope. I hope America will continue to stand strong in behalf of those who are oppressed, not just in China, but frankly throughout the world. So my gratitude for you all for bringing this commission together and your focus on China in this forum and going forward and how we can better attend and give focus and clarity to the needs of those who cannot speak for themselves in so many ways, but they need the moral clarity of the United States and the high calling of our principles, that they may be just as important and relevant as economic trade. While economic trade can provide some beneficial ascension toward the quality of life, it's only when we address those human qualities, those innate qualities of the conscience, that we've really liberated the individual and allowed them to be all that God intended them to be. So thank you very much, and I appreciate the great work that each of you do. God bless you.